It is 4:45, and so I will call the Community Resources and Tourism Committee, July 12th at 4:45 to order. Having taken roll call right now, and I want to thank Michelle again for being our recording secretary, and to Dan for setting it all up for us. The meeting as always, so we can broadcast and have it on Zoom. Larry Bjork is home on Zoom. The rest are here. I see that we're missing yet Tom Quinn, and we welcome our County Board Super Chairman here, Dave Bartlett. Public comments, anybody at this time for public comments? Well, we'll move right ahead. I want to welcome all of our guests here. We're going to be hearing from you shortly. And when we do that, we will call you up to the microphone and be asking, and then I got to look this way, Dan. Oh, okay. And we welcome here our Menominee Chamber of Commerce here, Kimberly as well. Good to have you here. All right. No public comments. I'm going to call first on our Area Director of UW-Madison Extension. Yes, Michelle. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot a big announcement. I have to announce something here that anyone who is not vaccinated is requested to wear a mask for your own protection. Thank you.
Minutes.
Well, here we go. Thank you. We better approve the minutes from June 14th. You've read them at home, had a chance to look at them, and any corrections or additions? If not, I would recognize a motion to approve the minutes. And who made the motion to approve? Second? Second. Don, second. Any more discussion? If not, the minutes from June 14th are approved. I will be referring to the minutes later in our meeting today regarding action 7B. We'll look at that later. Thank you for keeping it online. Now we're ready for you, Catherine. Thank you for being here. I will let you all know that ordinarily we have an educator report at this time too, and I asked Catherine if she could kind of cover everything because this is our budget meeting, pretty well signed, and so we're going to spend a lot of time on that tonight, Catherine. But it's important that we're here, and if you don't make the announcement that we're pretty excited about, then I will. But you probably will, and I have planned it too. But Catherine Emmanuel, yes, you're on.
Thank you so much. And I will just say to, let's see, first of all, is this on? I'm on, okay. And then Dan, at any point, since I know we are just all trying to get used to this, I don't have a bubble. So just come on over if you just need to be assertive here. Want to make sure the meeting is as smooth as possible. So thanks so much for having me. And it's my first time to meet Supervisor Vogel in person and to see Supervisor Quinn in person since he's been here as part of the committee. So really nice to see you all. And just thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts and Extension for your understanding and support with everything the pandemic related. I just feel like we were really aligned, and it wasn't difficult to figure out the interim solutions together. So thank you to our committee and of course to the county for all of their support as well. I am going to give a couple of updates. The first is that we are officially returned to the office, and it's an important distinction that I make sure we're not returning to work because we have been able to work remotely. However, we are now back in the office, and in true Extension form, our educators are often not at the office if they're out in the community teaching. Sometimes during the evenings, sometimes during the weekends, sometimes 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you stop by and you see that a staff member is not there, be assured that they are most likely working in the community. From a state perspective, we are still waiting for final guidance from UW-Madison when their semester starts in September on their return to work guidance. And we anticipate that Extension will nestle their expectations under main campus. I would anticipate that people will be interested in working remotely, maybe 1 to 2 days a week or so, and we'd have to go through a formal process. Again, I think it aligns very nicely with where the county's at already, and don't anticipate any major changes there. So with that, we have a press release that I'd like to share a little bit about. There are some awards that are being given. So the first one is for Katie Wantalk for her audio recording and personal column. And I will say that Michelle Vachon has been incredible in support of helping all of our educators, including Katie, on just adapting to virtual technology of learning how to do podcasts, editing, and lots of other software. And then the second one is a Search for Excellence Award. And that also included Katie for her programming with young beginner or small farmers and ranchers and her efforts in sustainable agriculture. So definitely want to lift her work up and her contributions here in Dunn County and in Wisconsin. The last big announcement is we have just finished up doing our search and screen process for a community development educator. And this is one that was vacated March of 2020, I believe. And we had a statewide hiring freeze, and then we got a green light to start the hire. And in conjunction and partnership with our counties who were really invested in seeing this position through. So I cannot share the name today. However, I can share that we do have a verbal accepted offer. And Supervisor Quinn was able to be a part of the interviews. I had invited him because I thought he had excellent expertise. So he's in the loop. He's got all the information, but he's been asked just to keep it confidential until we are ready to have a public announcement, which unfortunately is not tonight. I can tell you though, I think all of your buttons are going to pop off when you learn more about our candidate. Just really knowledgeable in local government, both municipal, county government, excellent experience with broadband in local government and in community food systems, and working with underserved populations as well. So I could not be happier with this candidate, and I'm hoping within the next 7 to 10 days, we'll have a formal announcement. And you will definitely be getting an email from me with that information.
Well, that's great news, Catherine. Thank you. I was going to follow up until you brought this here. I was in the Country Today newspaper. I hadn't seen it locally, so I clipped out the article from the Country Today so I could share this with everybody, but you did better, Michelle. You brought and for anybody else, I haven't seen this in the papers other than the Country Today yet. Has it been in other papers? Well, Colfax, how about Boyceville? Those Colfax, Boyceville. Well, good. Thank you. We will congratulate Katie as well for her wonderful award.
Excellent. And, awards, put an S on the end there.
Awards.
Yeah, awards.
Plural.
Yeah.
Yes,
yep.
Thank you. That's very true.
Yeah.
Next month, we will return back to the educator's report then, and we hope to hear soon about your work. Thank you, Supervisor Quinn, for sharing in on that interview. That's great. So you're welcome to stay around. We know you're busy. Tonight we're going to be talking about budgets, and I think in extension, you pretty well got that all taken care of. So there isn't really much action, is there, next month that we need to take?
No, I'll be here in person next month, and we'll go over that. It's really the same information I think we shared out maybe 1 or 2 months ago of just going through line by line to make sure that everything is necessary as part of the request. There should be no surprises in there. So that should be pretty easy to work through. I'm planning on taking advantage of some of the hybrid meeting technology. So I don't know how many times I'll be in person. You'll see me in person next month for sure. And maybe quarterly, maybe 6 times a year. I'm just not sure, but It will greatly reduce my meetings because I have committee meetings and department head meetings ×3. So this will give a little sanity back in this lady's life.
Well, like you said, this was your first chance to meet in person with
Yeah.
Supervisor Bogo. So
Yeah, it's
there is
great.
an advantage once in a while that we do meet face to face.
Absolutely.
Larry Bjork, he's back on the Zoom with us at home, and so this works fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The last piece I'll
Yes.
share is that we have interns that we secured outside funding for. They are going to be wrapping up their 8 weeks of service with extension in just a couple of weeks. One of the interns who was placed here in the extension Dunn County office is named Levi Wilson. And Levi is going to be writing an article in the Dunn County paper. So be
Okay.
on the lookout for that. Just really a reflection of what he and the other interns have learned. So we're real excited about that. Any questions before I turn my mic off?
Any supervisors? Larry Bjork. Can't hear you, Larry.
There we go. How's that? Push the wrong button. Can you hear me now, Jim?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Jim, am I unmuted? Oh, okay. Catherine, I spent the last weekend at the Chippewa County Fair with the Open Dairy Show. And I want to congratulate the extension workers there that put in their time and effort to work at the county fair. And, you know, I started out in extension with my first job. And the one thing that you find with extension is that the more people that you can contact with, you know, the better we all are in extension. And so I would really encourage you to send it up the chain of command that these extension agents putting in their time at county fairs is a real good positive step for extension. Anytime you can meet with people and help them out, just even answering questions, it's a big deal. I know that they're university now, that, you know, they seem to come across a little bit more as classroom teachers, to my opinion, but to see extension agents do the traditional extension work was really gratifying. And I just would hope that you would encourage your agents to spend a little time at their county fair, at least be seen at their county fair. You're well aware of county budgets as far as what they have to, that's not mandated, and extension is one of those not mandated parts of county budget. So please put those extension educators out there for the public. I sure appreciated their hard work in Chippewa County.
Thank you, Larry. And I would add that Farm Technology Days is coming up too in Eau Claire County. Same time as the Dunn County Fair, and our extension agents are all working very hard in that too. So I thank you all of them. Thank you, Larry. Anybody else? Well, then we'll move on to getting into the budget areas this evening. As I indicated to all of you, tonight we're going to be talking with Dunn County Housing, West Central Regional Wisconsin Planning, West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning, and the Dunn County Economic Development Corporation, and the libraries. And so we're going to hear from them tonight and take action. Without objection, I'm going to though call on the section that we have on the Dunn County budget allocation for economic development, because I think this is something that pertains to all of you that you would want to hear about. It's a budget item that we have of $10,000 for economic development, and I assigned Supervisor Zahns to come up with a plan. And we've been working and talking about this for quite a few months. And I would hope that tonight or this afternoon, we could take some action to begin this plan. And it has to do with rural tourism of Dunn County. And that would include all of you in your areas of what's going on in tourism. So And if this gets real long, I'm going to delay action and then get to all of you people. But with that, I'd like to call on Jim Zahns. You've read his plan. He will briefly go over that with you so you can hear, and we'll go. So Jim Zahns, let's hear from the plan that you come up with.
Well, we actually wasn't a plan that I came up with, but Your Web Choice is a company that I work with, and then with my own company. And this is a plan kind of in conjunction with listening to some of the things that we wanted to accomplish as a county, and specifically be focused on tourism and some economic development aspects, because we don't know exactly where Economic Development Corporation will go in the future. And then, of course, Dan evaluated sent a proposal out for bids for development, came up with a number of different options that, as far as what IT would see doing, what they would like to do, or different options that could be pursued. And option number one was, of course, doing basically what Your Web Choice had presented, as far as a kind of a standalone site that would then have to be maintained either by the county or by having Your Web Choice do the updates. The second option was having the developer who did the Explore Menominee site basically create a second version of that site using the same database from the Explore Menominee site, but just have the focus be on Dunn County. And then the third option that they came up with was to do basically just a real simple page that would be almost no cost, but would have really little that could be updated. So I don't know, have all of you guys kind of looked at and looked at these different options? The main question, I know that IT kind of prefers the second option, but one of my fears with that, and I told Chairman Anderson here last week, that kind of makes me itch, is that the data would be essentially controlled by the chamber, and would only come from them like once, as far as from that one single site. And then after that, any updates to that shared information would then have to still be made by the county, according to the option site plan that I have here. It says any updates to shared data will not apply to both sites, will require manual updates. So if that's the case, then I don't see a huge benefit with doing it that way. I don't know if anybody else has looked at that and has any thoughts or comments.
Okay, we can open it up to the members of the committee if there's points, and I'll call on Kimberly too. Have you all had a chance to review those three options that Jim sent us once so long ago?
Dan sent it.
Huh?
Dan sent it.
I mean, Dan sent
Yeah.
us, right. And that was very good. Thank you, Dan. Excellent work. Comments from anybody here on the committee first? Dan, you put together a lot of work on this too. So I would ask you to make your comments.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would say to that, I mean, I think it explains what it was. My understanding, we would still be able to add items that were specific to the county. I think there may be a level of a vetting, but at that vetting would be whether the chamber would also put that out there or not. But it would be at our discretion to be able to add to that shared database specifically for our site. Outside of that, I think the main factor that kind of goes through my head as it relates to this is it's really about the staff time and how staff time and budget, which they're very much related, is that ongoing maintenance. And so that's where I looked at that, and the shared option to me is what would give us a better final product with a lesser amount of staff time / budget. So, but you know, we're here to do the will of the board. So I just wanted to present those options and to make sure everybody was informed of what we had. So.
Well, they were very good, 3 options. Thank you, Dan.
Mhm.
Well, Kimberly, you've been involved in working with Dan on this, and Jim. So I would ask you if you have some comments.
Yeah, so it's kind of a correlation of, so it is kind of, you will have to update anything additional that's not on our website. So if there's any other county businesses or anything like that, you'll have to update and add those to yourself. But any businesses that we already have throughout town will be shared to your site. So it is a shared database for that point. So we did already pay for the business directory. We did already pay for the events calendar. So those are things that you wouldn't have to re-buy since we already technically bought them. And I do spend around 1 to 2 hours a week searching for events, uploading events to the calendar to make sure it is consistent and time consuming and all of that. So then there is an option. So if I approve them on ours, you can have an agreement that it automatically gets approved to your calendar. But if you don't want that option, you want to do it all manually, you can. So there is an option that way. And also with the business directory, if say one business goes out of business or change their phone number, we update it, it automatically gets updated on yours as well. You wouldn't have to do that. So it is kind of just a shared database. And it also would help with SEO, because if someone searches something within Dunn County, it's on our website and your website. Both of the websites will be the top 2 on Google since they're both there. So direct them to businesses, multiple, being able to see more time since it is kind of there and our website is established and we do have that credibility with Google already, and it'll help get the county website further up on the Google list right away as well.
Thank you. And the librarians are here, and I was thinking I wanted them to hear about it too, because it would be something people could go to their library and get it all updated all the time, current, really current.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have options at home, I'm saying, to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fast enough internet. Dan, anything else that you care to say?
No,
Chairman Bartlett, do you have any comments at this point?
I'm confused about
Back to Jim.
what you guys are talking about, because in the proposal here for option 2, it says any updates to shared data will not apply to both sites or require manual updates. So why are they different?
Which I think they did 2 different plans, depending on which plan you're looking
Yeah,
at.
there's an option 1 where basically it's a single combined site, and then option 2 that was a separate site.
Yeah, option 2 was there. So we had a couple of sets of options. So there's the 3 options that I wrote in my staff report, which option 2 was this combined site. Jim has seen the proposal that we received from the company,
Okay.
which provided us 2 options.
Oh,
Their option 1 is my option 2. Their option 2 is my option 1. So if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right? So,
now it does. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
That then, of course, my concern with that again is that the county does not have any control over that data. That it's basically the chambers to update and do what they will. And I understand the want to have fewer staff hours or to be paying anybody to maintain the site, but my fear is that you've got one of the things that I don't see any point in doing a separate site if it's going to just be data from an existing site, because Google doesn't like search results that basically duplicate information or wording from another site. So actually will hurt search engine optimization for Dunn County if the information is primarily duplicating the stuff that's on another website. So that's a concern.
If I can
Can I comment?
clarify,
Yes.
yeah, so it's not completely duplicating our whole site. It's only taking certain portions that we already did that you guys also want to do. So the events tab, the business directory, and then the things about Menominee. So like the Menominee tab on your website would be kind of a shorter version of our website. But then you would have as many other tabs as that you guys want, that's specific, your own data, your own content that we have no control over, that's not on our website. The only part that is shared would be those certain sections, and then the rest is all you guys. We don't have it. We won't have it in our dashboard to see. So it's all completely separate. There's only going to be like a small portion that is combined. It is 2 separate sites, 2 separate URLs. And you would only be able to tell on the backside that there's shared data.
Okay, so I wonder who maintains that separate information then on that site.
On the separate, that would fall on Dunn County IT.
Okay.
And we hope for that to be a lower change data. I think the events calendar is the more dynamic data.
Mhm.
We would be looking at maybe a quarterly to every 6 months, kind of changing some of that that other thing, talking about possibly like season changes, something to that effect, where the that front page data in the winter is going to talk about snowshoeing and not biking. So that data would be less change, and that's where when we have that high change, that dynamic data being essentially done for us by the chamber. Thank you, Kimberly. And then that lower change we would absorb. That's where we get our lower staff time, as opposed to if we were to manage that entire data set.
Well, that does bring up the question of sustaining it too. After this year, we have $10,000, of which Jim tells me maybe if approved tonight, we could have it in working in 2 months. Right? Maybe 3 months.
Well, I don't know about the other provider because I didn't talk with them. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know what their timeline is.
Yeah, I think we had kind of talked around that similar 2 to 3 month timeline.
Yeah.
It's work that they'd have to do and fit into their schedule, but they're also familiar with that. We were also looking at doing this in this calendar year. So
I think, at least from my goal, is to get it in operation this year. But however, we need to look ahead. It would cost $300 a month roughly to sustain it in the future, right?
With no staff support.
Yeah,
with no steps.
with no staff.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Jim, anything else?
Not really.
Chairman Bartlett, do you have any questions or comments regarding what we're having proposal here?
Probably a couple that come to mind. The businesses that you have on your site, I assume are mostly all Menominee businesses, or are they entire Dunn County businesses?
In our dine and drink section is majority of Menominee, shopping is majority Menominee, but the explore tab is kind of Dunn County. So those would be more
Okay.
different businesses and other areas and places to explore, but we don't have the smaller businesses throughout Dunn County. But that's where you could come in and add
Right.
your own
I
tabs.
guess that's what I was
to
getting at,
cities.
that we would do that. And then on your events, same way, I imagine, are there Menominee events, not countywide events?
We do countywide events. Since
You know-
Menominee is the only one with hotels, we do promote all events throughout Dunn County.
Okay.
Good questions.
Thank you.
And is the business directory just chamber members?
Nope, anyone's on that one.
Well, I will say this, I have been on this committee for quite a few years, and when we started, I think Supervisor Tripp was chairman, and we always were called the Community Resources and Tourism. And we used to bring in all kinds of agencies, didn't we? And tonight we're entertaining 3 and the libraries. So we've narrowed that down, but I would personally, I would really like to see tourism, rural tourism back in this committee. And we haven't really done very much for rural tourism in Dunn County. And so I thank you, Dan and Jim and Kimberly, for all of your hard work. And I know we can work with the chamber and very well on it, but that's my comment. Where do you want to go from this standpoint, members of the chair? Yes, Chairman.
Got another question pertaining to the yearly expense. Option 2, you mentioned $300 a month. I don't see that listed under option 2. I don't see it listed under any of the options. So I'm just wondering, option 2 is 180 a month?
No, so lots of the original proposal that Supervisor Zons had provided to us had proposed an option for $300 a month
Right.
to maintain it. In my option 1, I said that we would maintain that using staff time rather than paying the $300 a month. So you could call it a 4th option, or an option 1B would be to do all of the maintenance with that other group.
Okay.
The difference being if we were to absorb that with staff time, we would not do nearly the amount of work and maintenance on that. We would be talking about, I think we had talked about somewhere around maybe 4 hours a month is about the amount of staff time that we would be putting towards that in option 1. So that's why you don't see the 300. So the 300 would be,
what's the expense for option 3 or option 2 then? You've got 180.
Yep. So
Is that 180 a month or 180 a year plus staff time?
that would be 180 a year plus.
Plus staff.
Sorry, I don't have it sitting right in front of me right now.
I got a copy if you just want to look at
I
the
handed to you.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Because Dan, I'm wondering if, like, for your option 1, if what you did was take the bid from your web choice and then added like an amount that you figured would be the staff time investment in that.
Yeah, so option number 1, the $240 is the annualized
The
cost
hosting-
of the
hosting fee.
yes, and the 180 is also an annualized cost of that. Both of them would be inclusive of staff time. Option 2 would be less staff time than option 1.
Mhm.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Thank you. Clears that up.
figuring me out on that.
Any more questions, Chairman?
No, I think that's all I have. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. I will ask again from Kimberly, do you have any final or comments before? Okay. Supervisor Zons, are we ready to take action at this point, or what?
I don't
was
know,
your
we haven't heard from
recommendation?
those 2. Do
Well,
you guys have any comments, or what are your thoughts?
absolutely.
I don't want to dominate our
Supervisor
discussion
Quinn.
here.
Well, I just
Hold on.
was an opportunity to speak. So I went. I really super appreciate Supervisor Zons and Epperson bringing this together. I do, and I'm still open to more information, but from what I can tell, personally, it seems like option B with the county, given the discussion we had answers some of the concerns you brought up, Jim. And it seems to me like it probably is the most sensible option to go forward with. But I really do respect and want to see if you have any further reservations about it too.
Thank you, Supervisor Vogel.
I think all options seem feasible, but I think I agree that option 2, like working with the chamber so that we don't have to come up with a lot of that initial business information for the directory. And that a lot of the upfront work is kind of there in the infrastructure. It might make it more sustainable.
Thank you. Does everybody here
Larry,
feel you
so-
wanted
so
to say?
Larry-
Larry Dort, go ahead, Larry. Sorry. You're
Turn your mic
muted.
on, Larry. Larry, turn your mic
You're
on.
muted, Larry.
We can't hear you, Larry. Larry, we can't hear you.
Looks like he made a very profound statement that we couldn't hear. Larry, we couldn't hear a word you said because your mic is off.
Well, that ain't all that's off with me, I'll tell you. No, I was just supporting Jim Zahn. No wonder they probably canceled me from headquarters. No, I think what Jim has done on it is really important. And I think that we need to do whatever we can to encompass the whole Dunn County activities. Whatever that is, that's where I fall.
Thank you, Larry. I'll turn it back then if there's any final comments from you, Jim, or Dan. And if you're ready to take action, otherwise we'll move on.
Well, it still makes me nervous being tied in with data that we really don't control. So even though the option 2 is the easier thing going forward, I'm concerned about search engine aspects. I understand that option 1 is going to have more of an ongoing cost, but it is the county's website. That there's nothing tying it to anybody else. If there's a bad divorce, it is not going to be hard to split apart at that particular point in time. So I'm still leaning toward 1, but I will go with the consensus of this committee.
Would we have the option after a year of changing? Would we be able to change after 1 year? If we felt the concern if we went to option 2 and we didn't like it to.
Well, I guess it would be up to the other web company if they wanted to honor that. If they wanted to honor that proposal that they came up with, and also if the chamber wanted to, still do that marriage of information. So, it's the only reason, I've been involved in website development since the 90s. So, and it's a core function of what my business is. So I have a real strong background on just how these things work. And that's why this makes me itchy, nervous. So, but that's me.
Thank you. Kimberly, yes, one.
The chamber next one reminded me would be willing to work with you guys if it was a year from now. I'm not quite sure how it would look to recreate a website if there's already a website created. That's way out of my realm. We just want the county to also bring tourists here because it also benefits Menominee and everyone as a whole. So we would do anything that would kind of help bring people here. And then also if you do combine the websites, you can split them at any time. It might just be an additional cost since you'd have to pay for your own plugins that we already technically share. And then you'd also just have to do your own hosting, which we would share the hosting on that. So it'll just be more an additional cost if you did want to ever split them, but there is a way to split them in the future if you wanted to have a split.
Well, we appreciate your willingness to work with us and all that, Kimberly.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Yes,
Chairman
Commissioner.
Swin.
Supervisor Zahns, in what way would the data, by data, you mean the names of the businesses primarily?
Well, yeah, whatever information is shared between the two sites, if it's a single shared database, that information will be duplicated on the two sites. And if the county would want to, split at some point,
Right.
either there'd have to be an agreement that a
Right.
copy of that data could still reside with the county, that it would not be like a proprietary thing. And at that point, the developer would have to basically redevelop the site to be split between the two.
A new independent site.
Right.
Basically.
And my concern with having duplicated data, especially a lot of it, is that when Google search algorithms sees duplicated information, especially a lot of it, like if it's a directory and set up in the exact same structure, it dilutes the search results because it's two of the exact same pages per se, or that type of thing. So having something that's independent of that means that it functions better as far as search is concerned.
So clarify for me, this would be a separate site, wouldn't it?
It would be a separate domain name with shared data.
No, it wouldn't. Well, you would not have this data on your site, would you, or would you?
No, the only data that we would have shared would be the business listing, which is already out on Google multiple times. The events, which we find the events also online somewhere else. I think there's a list of a couple other things, or if there was a different certain section that you did want on yours, you could have, but all like the copywriting and all the text would be for all your additional pages that you talk about each city separately would be written your own. We don't have that on our website, so that would all be new, and they are two separate sites. It just has kind of that cloud.
So
database sharing.
the names and links to the businesses would be on your site, or would
You
they?
would both have access to them.
Both would have them.
Correct. Yep, you would be able to update them as much as you wanted to as well.
That's your concern, Jim, is that they would be.
My concern is just the shared information, and also that getting down to basically the only thing that's going to be shared between the two sites is a business directory and a calendar. I don't see the benefit of the extra cost of developing the site with that tie-in at close to $9,000 when those two little small components are the only things being shared. As far as like the initial kickoff thing, and Kimberly, you'd mentioned like when we first started talking about this, that the chamber would be willing just like to share that business list. And if that was still the case, and we could just have that business initial list already plunked in and ready to go, and then the county would be responsible for updating and maintaining it from that point forward, or adding to it ourselves.
Yeah, the list we have is just an Excel document, but our business directory is I'm not sure if you guys have seen our website or even know what I'm talking about when I talk about business
No,
directory, I guess. But I'm not sure if we can pull it if they did want to see it, but it's kind of more just you can search and there's categories, and then there's also an image, their address. You can call directly from the website, go to their Facebook and their website and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we do have just the basic business listing and the phone number already created on Excel document.
So the option one from the people that you,
Yeah, your of choice.
what were the numbers on that? That was, you have that there. So I don't have.
$3,500 to develop the site, and then $300 each month to do the updates and maintenance and
Okay.
add to the business directory and that
So
kind of stuff.
basically, we could spend 3,500 or 4750, 4760, whatever. But we spend a smaller amount and we pay $300 a month to have them updated all the time. Or we can spend $8,000 and we can get it updated for $180 a year plus 4 hours of staff time a
Yeah.
month. So at $300 a month, at 3,600 a year, I guess we're gambling if we keep doing it for a while. But after a couple of years, it's going to pay for it. You know, we're going to be a lot cheaper setting it up towards option 2 that is on this sheet from Dan in the long run. And I guess I'm always thinking of budgets and I'm always thinking of tax levy because we're high. Sustainability, what's going to get cut 2 years down the road if we have, you know, I'm just throwing that out there. At $180 a month or $180 a year plus 4 hours of staff time, maybe that'll hang in there for 10 years or so, you know?
Well, it could also be too that, you know, that the 300 a month is the initial aspect of it. And then after that, we don't decide to fund it, or we decide to fund it at half of that amount, or decide that, you know, if Dan's department can spend 4 hours a month toward it, we say, okay, that's what we're going to spend toward the site going forward.
Excellent
The
discussion.
additional expense of option 2 is so that when the chamber puts events on and added businesses or whatever, it automatically gets transferred to our site too, right? Or is there more to it?
No, I think you're talking about the difference between the upfront cost.
Yes.
The difference, I think the big difference between the upfront cost is the proposal from the name of the company is there was they greatly
Studio
discounted.
MLM. Yeah.
No, from your web choice.
Yeah.
Was they discounted the up. So I mean they're providing a discount to the
Yeah.
county as a I believe the guy
Because
is
it's a contractor of
so
mine
as a-
and he
yes.
wants to see this. He just
Right.
kind of does this for the community
Yeah.
aspect of it.
When you look apples to apples, the without the discount, the actual costs to develop the sites are pretty close to on par. So yes, there is that aspect of a,
Yeah, because in his proposal, he had a $9,500 value, but discounted at $3,500 to do it.
But as you mentioned that we could start out with that option and move over, is that site? I mean, he built it for us, discounted. Can we do that down the road? You
Yeah.
follow what I'm saying?
He's gambling that what he builds for the county is going to be that much of a value that the county is obviously not going to want to do that at some point. And he's hoping that basically the businesses that maybe want to be listed on there, they themselves might need websites, so he'll get extra business because of that. Right.
Okay. Good discussion. Any comments? You want to think about it? We've discussed this for quite a while and we have a lot of people here. So I'm not saying we have to take action. We can wait and think about it till next month. It wouldn't hurt us any. we can. I'm listening.
I think we would benefit from, I'm a little more confused than I was when I walked in today, to be honest. Yeah, I would think we could benefit from a little more discussion. Putting it off one more month is a problem, but not
That's
a
not
fatal
a
problem. Yeah.
Is that okay, Jim?
It's fine with me,
Thank
because
you.
especially if people want to ask
We will.
questions, and we've got all of our experts here between everybody, so.
And thank you, and both of you, Dan and Kimberly, and committee, I will have it on the agenda as an action item then in our August meeting, and we can move along. Okay, thank you.
And
Thank you. Yes, Dan.
If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to answer any questions or
Well.
fill you in on any information. I understand
I
it.
should have asked you about option 2.
Very
Right. Option two,
Not
A,
this
B,
one,
C.
yes, A, B,
Yes.
C.
So, yes.
We will look, thank you.
Yeah.
And we will look for maybe action at our August meeting then. Thank you. Now let's get into some of our visitors are here. So I'm going to call on Dunn County. You all have a packet of materials for Dunn County Housing and West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning. So Tammy, Dunn County Housing, I don't see her here. Jim, you're going to do it. Jim, Supervisor Tripp, come on up to the mic. Yep.
Can you hear me? Am I good?
Sure.
My name is Jim Tripp. I live at 621 Fagstead Street in Menominee, Wisconsin. And although I am a member of the Dunn County Board of Supervisors, I am here tonight as the chair of the Dunn County Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Let me ask first, do you have the packet of material including the 2-page report? Okay, then I'm going to keep this quite short. There's only a couple of points that I'd like to make. One of them is that the Dunn County Housing Authority was created by the Dunn County Board because they were willing to accept the federal Section 8 rental assistance program money. So to start with, it's a program that the Dunn County Board of Supervisors agreed to accept and maintain, and that implies a financial responsibility. Second point I'd like to make is on the back side of the, it's on the second page of the report that Tammy provided for you, and it's under the paragraph entitled Why, and the third line down begins with this. HUD requires that each housing authority seek out additional funding and suggests that they contact the governmental entity that created them. That's the Dunn County Board. The logic of funding Dunn County Housing Authority is pretty much inescapable, at least in my opinion. The third point I'd like to make is that the HUD does fund part of the administrative costs. As a matter of fact, they fund the majority of the costs. And in past years, this committee has voted either to increase, decrease, maintain funding for the program. It will continue, or at least temporarily, even if Dunn County doesn't provide any financing. But to ensure the integrity of the program, the future of the program, the continuity of the program, we depend on county funding. And I think Tammy's done a good job in her report of outlining that. The program itself and the benefits of the program, I'm not going to get into because there are a number of people waiting to speak yet tonight. And they're pretty obvious, and I think you've heard them all before. Again, as a commissioner, it's pretty obvious to me that $300 and some plus thousand annually in the hands of, going into the pockets of landlords in Dunn County, in exchange for which we get stable, decent, healthy, safe, respectable housing for families, is a pretty darn good trade-off. And if we can do that at a cost to the county of, what is the request? I haven't even looked, I think $46,000. That's a pretty good bargain. And with that, I'm going to ask if there are any questions, and if there are not, I'm going to step aside.
I can't recall, Jim, is this approximately the same amount of money as past years?
This is exactly the same
Okay.
money as last year. I don't know if you know anything about Westcap and their opera. I'll tell you a very short story that illustrates. Over the past year and a half, we have been using Zoom for meetings. And that Zoom subscription, that licensing fee that we used was paid for with federal money that was, that everybody gets all. Well, that money ran out. And so we have converted now, we are using GoToMeeting because that's a program that Westcap maintains. Tammy said we could continue to use Zoom because the commissioners are familiar with that, but she'd have to pay for it out of her own pocket, which she was willing to do. And I said, no, absolutely not. They're not going to. But the kind of operation we're running is one that if you don't have $30 a month, well, let's take a little collection from the commissioners and see if we can come up with it. This is a shoestring operation, and for the amount of money invested and the good and the financial return that we get, it's to me, it's a no-brainer. Other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would ask the committee, do you want to hear the presentations from everybody before we take action on these, or would that be better here, everybody?
Let's go one at a time. I'm ready to make a motion to
Are you?
approve. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Moved and second to approve $46,000 for Dunn County Housing Authority. Any discussion? If not, you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Motion's carried. Thank you, Jim. Let's move on then. We'll call on Lynn Nelson to have the West Central Regional. And Lynn, if you'll come up here, please. West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning. And you all have a packet that was handed out before, and it's really thorough, Lynn. Thank you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. It's nice to see some familiar faces and some new ones. The West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission is a multi-county planning organization. We cover 7 counties in West Central Wisconsin, and our services fall under 4 broad categories, including economic development, community development, natural resources, and transportation. We currently have a staff of 14, and we're governed by a board of 21 commissioners made up of 3 appointments from each of our 7 counties. A portion of our budget comes from membership fees that each of our 7 counties pay into our organization. That fee is based on a mill rate applied to real estate valuations for each county. So for 2022, the fee that we are requesting of Dunn County is $22,300. That's a 1.6% increase over last year, or $350. That membership fee allows units of government from throughout Dunn County access to our services. Many of those services are provided at no cost. Ones that are more extensive, we sometimes have to charge a fee for. It depends on the types of work that we're doing. So to give you an example of some of the things that we've worked on, we included our 2020 annual report, which provides examples, but just to touch on some additional things. For 2021, as some of you are aware, we are hoping to be able to work with Dunn County in putting together a housing study that includes consultation with the county, working on a community development block grant that would help to cover a portion of the funds. Your levy fee helps us leverage other sorts of funding, and some of that is from the Federal Economic Development Administration, and we're going to be willing to take a portion of that money and apply it also towards the housing study. So that's one of the activities that we've been working on with Dunn County. We worked on the Red Cedar Watershed Project, helping to secure funding for that project through the Army Corps and the Department of Natural Resources. In addition, over COVID, we've done a lot of recovery assistance in terms of assistance to communities and businesses. We have provided a resource guide on our website We've reached out to communities to help them be aware of the funding sources that are out there, help them tap into those funding sources. For example, we assisted the city of Menominee in preparing an economic development administration, which was awarded to cover the cost of expanding infrastructure into a piece of land in the Stout Technology and Business Park. So we'll be assisting them with administration of that. We've also secured funds to assist businesses as well. In addition to our normal regional business fund pool of funds, we also secured funding through the Federal Economic Development Administration to provide $10,000 loans to businesses. 4 businesses in Dunn County took advantage of that. We established a micro enterprise grant program that provided $5,000 grants, or will be providing $5,000 grants to eligible businesses. We received 24 applications from businesses in Dunn County for that program. We're going to be also administering something called a Main Street Bounce Back program, which will provide grants to businesses that locate into vacant commercial spaces. And a whole variety of other things. So if you have questions on any of that or want to talk more about that, those are just some of the examples of some of the work that we have done and plan to be doing with Dunn County in the future.
Wow, thank you, Lynn. Questions from anybody? Remember, we have 2 supervisors that serve on that board, Supervisor Quinn and Morehouse. And Steve Rasmussen. Chairman Bartlett, yes.
Got a couple of questions. One has to do with the amount requested, because down below on the bottom, it says the local levy amount includes Dunn County's 22,251. So is it, are you just rounding it up, or I'm just wondering?
The amount,
Rounded it up by $49.
it's $22,300.
Okay,
That is the
so
fee.
that might be last year's number or something.
Last year's number was 21,950. I'm not sure what happened there. I guess that was an error there.
Okay. And then in your annual report, this page,
Mhm.
I assume these are probably totals from 19.
Those are totals from 2020.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Have you seen an uptick in the loans in Dunn County this year at all? Can you answer that?
I can. I wrote, let me see how many loans we've been looking at for this year. Like I said, we have a variety of loan pools, but through the equivalent to what's on that page, the Regional Business Fund loan pool for 2021. Let me see. I know I wrote that down. 3 businesses have been assisted under that loan pool in 2021. In addition to the EDA CARES loan program, an additional 4 businesses were assisted under that program. And then 24 businesses will be receiving, well, applied for microenterprise grants as well.
This page from 2020 just shows the amount of the 3 so far this year.
That's from 2020, so that does not include 3 from this year.
No, I realize that, but I'm saying the numbers that we're seeing on this page for 2020, if we looked at it this year, we would see 3 businesses.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes,
So it hasn't changed any this year.
correct.
All right.
And then the other loan pools that I'm talking about weren't pools that were available in 2020 because they're related to COVID.
Yep.
Good. Anybody else? Any questions? Well, Linda's here. Are we ready to take action
Make
now
a
then?
motion to approve the
Move approval of
Request.
22,300.
second.
Second, you've heard the motion and seconded by Dunn. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much.
you.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. I know when we get to the libraries, we're going to be talking about a lot of these other things too, but we're going to call on the other Dunn County Economic Development Corporation, Bob Bassani. Bob, you've heard him before. He was here a month ago or so. So I told Bob he doesn't need to go in as much detail. You've already heard him. I think maybe you don't have the packet in front of you, but it was mailed to you. You should have gotten an email. No?
No.
I did.
What's that?
Oh, well, did it just go to the members of Dunn County EDC? It did not go to this committee?
No, I sent it to everybody.
Huh?
No, I sent it to everybody, Jim. At least I thought I did.
think I got it.
In the mail?
No,
Email. It was all email. You bet. Well, I'll tell you what, if you didn't, and let me know and I'll get it out again, but I did send it to everybody. I sent it to
I
the
thought- I
email,
know, I
to
got
the
it.
email address that I
Did you
had.
get it, Chairman Bartlett?
If you're talking about the ones that show the businesses you've been working on.
Yeah.
Working with.
Yeah, but there was a budget in there. too.
Oh, and that, yeah, I sent that out too.
Wait a minute, no.
I saw the budget.
If the chairman, if the members didn't get that, Bob, we might have to have you. I got it.
Oh, yeah,
and
I am so
assumed
sorry. I'll
everybody
tell you
did.
what, I was certain I sent that out to everybody.
You remember what date?
Gosh, no, I don't.
Well, because you should have the report to see, obviously, rather than just, do you want to give us a little idea and then, well, maybe they won't be ready to take action.
And that'd be fine. I apologize if you
ahead.
didn't get it.
I
Okay.
don't know why, because I thought I got it and I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and the
Maybe I-
package you'll get, it'll include, among other things, it'll include and you did get it, Jim, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But maybe I got it as my member of the Dunn County EDC instead of this board, Bob. That's
Gosh,
what
I
I
was-
don't remember. So can you give us a little idea?
Yeah, I
briefly,
will.
and then-
What,
and then
what,
if they want to delay it and looking at it, why, I can see that right now they haven't seen it.
and I'll tell you what, then I apologize for that, okay? But I thought I sent that. But in any case, yeah, what you'll get with the package is, a list of all the projects, but I've got also the request for the budget request for Dunn County Economic Development. And essentially what I've done is put together a package that asks for a certain level of funding from the county. And to be straight up with you guys, and I have been on our last meetings, without it, Dunn County Economic Development doesn't exist. But it also includes a funding request from the city of Menominee and other private sources. So we've got that in there, and that package is in there. Okay. And
I got it. That's why I assumed everybody did.
okay, well,
Okay.
I'll tell you what. Then I won't take a lot of time here. I'll just tell you though that just to give you an idea of what goes on with this office. We closed the offices in City Hall, moved into lower level of my house. I'm working out of there. We don't have any administrative help, so I do all the administrative work as well. But when I came into Dunn County Economic Development again, and that was the first part of this year, my objective was to focus on those things that I thought were really important to Dunn County Economic Development. Among other things, we had no continuing source of funding, so we were working off reserves. But beyond that, my focus was almost entirely on things that create jobs in brick and mortar. Okay, and so I've gone out and found a lot of projects. A lot of projects have come to me. Some of them are small, some of them are very large. We did run into a problem this year. I can tell you, we came right off that COVID garbage, and we ran into the extreme volatility in the construction industry. And we've actually pulled some of these projects and put them on the back burner for now. I've done a couple of them, 2, 3 of them myself, sat down with the principals and said, hey, listen, guys, if we do it today, it's going to cost $700,000 more than we would have thought. So we're going to wait until that volatility comes down, the markets level off. And I think they will. I even got some indication today that wood prices were starting to finally come down a bit. But nonetheless, we got that. But I'll just tell you real quick, we've worked on projects that were really big and really small. And some of the big ones would be high visibility, but a lot of the small ones to me are just as important. I'll give you an example, and just even within the last day. I worked with guys that one had a startup internet company. He now needs space. He's getting to the point where he's opened an Amazon storefront, and he's getting FBA fulfillment by Amazon done, which comes with the cost. He's reached the point now where he needs to want us expand and do the pick, pack, and ship himself. So I'm working with him. I found him some space options in Elk Mound and Colfax. And we're going to be I'll work with him to get moved and find out the precise time that it works best for him economically to do that. Another guy who contacted me, he's been working out of his home. He now needs some office space, but he had some special requirements. And so I worked with him to find some office space in a variety of areas, finally found him some, okay? It was a bit of a challenge, but I have to tell you, we finally found office that would work for him. And so we've got that in there. I got another company called me this morning, talked to him. This is a company that's south of Menominee, and it's an existing company, been around for 30 years, and they have a desperate need to expand. They're working out of 3 different locations now, and they need to consolidate. And so I'll be sitting down with them, we're putting things together in that regard. Medical device company, I've mentioned them before. That's high level stuff, high profile stuff. I've done a lot of work for these guys on the premise that, in fact, we've got Dunn, and be honest with you, Stout Tech Park on the map for them. Same thing with a software company, both of which I talked to this weekend. Okay, they seem to be moving forward. We'll see where it goes. But we've got all that. What I just want you guys to know, and then what I'll do is I'll get that stuff out to everybody again, I promise. And maybe I can get an opportunity to answer any questions. I don't want to take your time here, but I just want you guys to know that what this office provides, I don't know of any other economic development corporation office in the state provides. None. And I don't say that in an arrogant way at all, but if I say, I mean, I have put together multiple pro forma financials for a number of companies. I put together business prospectuses for companies because they come to me, a lot of good people, a lot of good companies, and they have no idea how to do any of that. And no problem, we'll work with them to get that done. And so we will do that. And so we have focused on that. I will acknowledge there are some things that we haven't done. And we haven't participated in a variety of programs simply because, number one, I don't have the time. And number two, to be honest with you, I don't think it adds a great deal to the economic development scenario for Dunn County. So I have to tell you, our focus has been on that, with one exception, that's broadband. We've done a lot of work, and Jim will attest to that, and Gary Steen and others, but we've been trying to I've been working with the providers. I'm talking to multiple providers that serve Dunn County, and in particular as it relates to the public service grant, the application deadline for which is the end of July. Been working to try to get public participation, have talked to the county, have talked to this committee, have talked to a number of the townships, getting some public participation in there, but making a push now to get these providers on the next executive committee board meeting. That's a last gasp effort to see if we can't get some participation from those ARPA funds. So anyway, that's what I got. If you got any questions right now, I'll tell you.
Bob, yeah, the written report is going to be important that everybody reads, and besides what you've told us. And so would the committee be more at ease if you had a chance to, Bob, send that to you and you read it, and then we would put it on the agenda for next month?
Yeah, if we could do
think,
that,
Bob, they'll read it, and then you won't have to go through this report. We can look at the amount again, and we'll do that next month. And I thought they had it, and you thought so too.
Yeah,
so
I did, and I
thank you, Bob.
apologize if you did,
Well,
because I really thought I sent that out.
We'll have it on the agenda for next month.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right,
much.
thanks.
All right. Now, with the patience of all you librarians, I, as chairman of this committee, one of the responsibilities I have is to call a library meeting. Hopefully, it's supposed to be twice a year. Last year we didn't have one because of COVID, and so it really the thing that benefits is we go to each library, Boyceville, Colfax, Sand Creek, Menominee, and of course Elk Mound is a branch of Menominee as well. So we had a meeting a few weeks ago, and Chairman Tripp was there, and a few of our supervisors that are on that board. Supervisor Headland's here, and at that meeting. So at this particular time, I'm going to call on Jolene, our new librarian here at Menominee, so we welcome you as the new librarian here, and you can make your presentation, and then we have the librarians from Sand Creek and from Colfax And from Boyceville, well, are you representing Von Headland here? Yeah, Boyceville. Right. Very good. Thank you.
I apologize for not getting this to you in advance. It occurred to me that that was an option, but now we know for next time, right? So what I'm giving you are some summary sheets of our activities from 2020. Along with a couple of other data points that I think you'll find interesting, and we'll get into it a little bit. As Chairperson Anderson said, my name is Jolene Stirk. I'm this on.
It's on.
Okay, I'm the director, the new director of the Menominee Public Library, and I'm representing the group of directors from Dunn County, Jenny Jolson from Boyceville, Lisa Bragg-Hurlbert from Colfax, and Shelley Ray from St. Creek. So as you all are putting together your budget for 2022, we want you to understand that the funding that we are seeking is actually reimbursement for services that have been provided in 2020. It's a bill. 2020 was a really challenging year for everybody, and we did our best to continue providing valuable service under constantly evolving conditions. And during the pandemic, we found out how much our libraries mean to our communities. Menominee was only open to the public for about 6.5 months, but for the rest of the time, we offered curbside delivery of materials, including the delivery of materials from other more consortium libraries. There were virtual story times. There was a virtual summer reading program. We did online yoga. We offered Wi-Fi access outside of our building. We checked out hot spots so that rural residents of Dunn County would have internet connectivity in their homes. And we assembled about 500 activity kits for kids. Colfax, in contrast, was only physically closed for 6 weeks. The rest of the time they were open in a limited capacity, but they continued to provide reference, reader's advisory, general information requests. They communicated with their community via email and phone, and they offered home delivery as well for folks that just weren't comfortable with the whole situation. But all 4 of our libraries took every recommended safety precaution. We followed the CDC guidelines, the Dunn County guidelines. We quarantined materials. At first, I think it was up to 4 days at a time before we dared touch anything. We cleaned our materials. We cleaned our library surfaces. We installed plexiglass barriers. We wore masks. We provided masks to the public and adopted a lot of new policies and procedures to keep everybody safe. And our boards kept on track, as I'm sure all of you did, with Zoom meetings monthly. But people were still eager to use the libraries during quarantine, and we rose to the occasion. So parents would call up and they would want materials for their kids. They were desperate for anything that we could give them. So we would assemble book kits and deliver curbside. People still had printing needs. They don't have printers at home anymore, we're finding out. And they say, oh my gosh, I need to print this. Why aren't you open to the public? And we would have to take their print requests. We have a print cloud service in Menominee and can print out what they need. We delivered it to them curbside. They gave us their, whatever the bill was, and sent them on their way. And people still needed their tax forms, which we also delivered curbside. So we kept running our Dunn County libraries, even though the physical doors might have been closed for a good bit of time. At the same time, people who didn't have a card to a Dunn County library could apply online for an e-card. And what we discovered was that ebook usage and e-audiobook usage went up. We saw people using e-magazines, looking at e-newspapers online for a time, and I think it's still the case that Ancestry.com is available from your home. You don't have to go into a library to use that service. So if you wanted to do family research, you could do that. And databases. I think a lot of people aren't aware. I can't tell you the number of guys I've helped with looking for wiring diagrams for their vehicles, and they didn't have any idea that we had this information online to help them, as well as people that are researching getting a new dishwasher or whatever their information needs might be. But as you consider this funding request, remember that most of our patrons live outside of the city limits, outside of the village limits. even in Menominee, about 60% of our use comes from rural Dunn County residents. I can't speak for my colleagues in the other libraries, but they're nodding their heads in agreement. So the funding that we receive from Dunn County is our largest source of revenue, and we want to provide excellent service to rural residents. I grew up in very rural Price County, and my only connection to a library for the first 18 years of my life was through a mail-a-book program. I never set foot in a public library until I went away to school. So we're providing critical services that people have discovered that they are depending on: Wi-Fi access, printing capabilities, having access to the things that they want to read or watch or listen to. And it's all through the investment of their tax dollars. Now, you will have to consider funding requests of other libraries that also provide service to Dunn County residents. And I just want to be clear, I support fully funding all public libraries. And sometimes it is more convenient to visit a different library outside of our county if people are traveling. But I looked at this today from the county clerk's office. And when you look at the reimbursement rate request from the other libraries outside of Dunn County, I've given you our request, not theirs in total, but I calculated what the cost per circulation was from each of these libraries. And for all of the other libraries that are requesting reimbursement, it was $6.66 at 100% reimbursement. At 70%, their average cost per circ was $6.59. Our average in Dunn County, $6.33. We are a bargain. And if you make the investment in Dunn County libraries, perhaps we can keep the dollars in Dunn County, and you won't have to write such large checks to Eau Claire or Chippewa or these other places, St. Croix libraries. We can build better libraries in Dunn County by keeping our funding local. So please consider investing at 100% in our libraries, because we want to keep those dollars local. I mentioned the items that were in your packet, and we have some nice summaries of what all of the libraries have been up to. But another thing that I wanted to point out is this map from the Wisconsin Public Service Commission. It's a map of the state. It's got pretty little dots all over it, and there's a lot of yellow dots. Those are public libraries that provide Wi-Fi to residents in their areas. And we found how critically important Wi-Fi and broadband access is. So I commend the good work that you're doing in looking at broadband access for the folks in Dunn County. I had another nifty little map. I guess I'm just kind of a map nerd that way. Here we are in Dunn County with our locations, and the people that are using libraries outside of Dunn County, it's in the immediately adjacent counties. So there's a pretty good chance that if you can see your way to investing at 100%, we can keep the circulations in Dunn County. I think that's about it for me. Does anyone have any questions?
I would like to add, Jolene, remember Elk Mound as a library, and they are a branch of Menominee, so
yeah,
everybody knows that.
And that's a very strategic placement of that branch, because we're keeping a lot of the circulation in Dunn County as opposed to having you all have to pay it out to Eau Claire or Chippewa.
I added up out of county at 70%, and it's $119,061. And if you take the 682 that you see on the sheet in front of you, that would be a total of 801,786 with Dunn County libraries at 100%. Yes.
I'm going to nod and say yes, Jim, because I don't trust my math at this hour anymore.
Okay.
But I did get this. I can tell you I have it on good authority. I got this from the county clerk's office today, if you have not seen it yet. So we are here requesting, yeah, $682,724.14, please.
Questions? Ask Jolene. Are you going to call on the other librarians? Have you talked regarding all of them? Because I don't want them to feel they're left out, because the report, what you've given us in front of you, you all have it, is the amount, and as Jolene said, is reimbursement for this year. Remember, it's not for next year, it's a reimbursement for this year.
Correct. And if I can add one other thing to that reimbursement request. Let's say I had to take, actually, I have had to take my truck in to get fixed this week. I don't have the luxury of saying, geez, I really appreciate the work you're doing. You're doing a great job. I'll give you 70% of your bill. I'll pay you 70% of your work. It doesn't work that way with private business. And it astonishes me that it works this way in government, but it's probably, you know, I'm just a little new to the party. So we would really prefer that you find a way to fund us at 100%.
I might, if I can add one other thing, tell me if I'm wrong. Sand Creek has been, we were up there and I was very impressed with all of your libraries. These are all at 100%. That formula might be a little different for Sand Creek, am I correct?
Okay.
But anyway, this number is what you do is certainly good. Jim Tripp is also on the, I don't dare call it, it's Indian. What's your federal, it's not a federated library. What is it again? ESSIS. Well, you couldn't tell me what that meant. Okay, who serves?
It used to be Indian Head Federated.
Right, that's what I still call it, anyway.
Drop that line.
Jolene, I'm just going to make sure if there's any comments that any librarian thinks has been left out that they would care to briefly, anything that you feel we need to hear other than the information we have. Certainly, thank you for coming. Oh, another board member here too. Should introduce who always comes to all of our meetings too. I think you know that back here. Yes, thank you. We have county board supervisors beside Vaughn Headland at Boyceville, and as Gary Steen is on Colfax, and Brian Johnson is on at Sand Creek. So and of course Jim Tripp on. So we appreciate those board members too. Okay, questions? Anybody? Yes.
Well, just take advantage of the opportunity. Over the past year, I've become addicted to the Libby app. I use it multiple times every day. I feel like I should be paying you,
You are, you're
a
paying
monthly
taxes.
fee. Yeah, well, I guess I am. But in what way? How does that figure into?
That's a good question. So Libby is, as you said, it's an app that allows you to listen to or read things on your mobile device. And that is part of a larger contract that the state of Wisconsin has set up for the Wisconsin Digital Library kind of consortium. And our system, IFLIS, pays a portion of that so that we as a system have access to that. But it's done through a private corporation. Yeah.
Question. Larry Bjork, do you have any questions? Did you have your hand up?
No, I don't, but I support the work they're doing. And I think I support it 100%.
Thank you. Supervisor Vogel.
So I was wondering, so this is all just physical circulation, so all items that are checked out, physical items, or does it include any electronic?
You're asking about the specific sheets from each of our libraries?
No, this total circulation
yes,
and
yes.
the library usage.
Yep, and I asked our system director, John Thompson, about that because it seems like a really weird and antiquated system for funding libraries, but he said it's really the only good way that they can still tie materials back to a physical residence. So that's why Act 150 funding is based on physical circulation as opposed to factoring in the e-content. But certainly the whole state of Wisconsin is getting more use out of e-content these days. And the other thing I would say just quickly, following up on the economic development, we're constantly helping people that have a need, that are trying to, I'm thinking of the guy up the hill, what is it? Used to be Skoogs.
Wilson Creek.
Wilson
Inn,
Creek, thank you
something.
very much. This guy kept coming into the library,
Right.
setting up with his laptop, doing his thing,
Right.
didn't have any idea what was going on.
Right.
He was getting ready to launch a business and he
Right.
was using our Wi-Fi to do it. This is not uncommon. And if you expect businesses to locate in Dunn County, they want, people want a good quality of life. And I think that parks and libraries and schools and all of that just adds to quality of life. So I know it's difficult in tough financial times to make that kind of commitment, but I think it absolutely helps to attract more businesses and more growth and development in the long run. So thank you for your time.
And they have good entertainment on Thursday afternoons down in the lake too.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
band at 7 o'clock.
And Colfax as well, you have that
Yeah, and
up on the-
Colfax, all of
yeah.
you. You know, you do all those wonderful things for the communities besides, you know, everything. That's awesome. I think, Jim Tripp, you can answer this question. We've been funding county libraries at 100% for many years. Since way back under Phil Sawa days, right?
That's correct.
That's
Did you
correct.
want more?
Thank you.
Want me to say a little poem or something?
Jolene, any more questions? Oh, very thoroughly. Good. Thank you very much. Okay, you've heard the report on libraries. This committee have a, would you care to discuss it more or ready for a motion? Anyone?
Well, I would move that we authorize 100% level for now. That will depend, I guess, on the budget process as we go forward, but that's what we should recommend, I think, as a committee.
Okay, motion.
I'll second.
Second by Volga. Thank you. Remember, remember this is on the levy. It is on the levy, but it really doesn't affect us balancing the budget, right, Chairman Bartlett?
So when
You had a
above the
comment.
levy line,
Oh, Karen.
is that for both in county and out of county
No, county,
libraries?
in
Or
county
just in
was the
county?
motion.
In county's all that's on the table today, as I understand it, right?
In county. Good point. Thank you, Chairman Bartlett. This is for in-county libraries at 100%. And I think I'm glad we cleared that up because what we've done in the past out of county, we've funded at 70%. And I think, Jim Tripp, that is mandatory that we fund that at 70%, is it not?
That's
Correct.
fair.
So the motion is for in-county. These libraries that you have in front of you at this amount. That would be the motion. Are you ready to vote? 100%. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Now, do you want to vote on the out-of-county recommendation? Because that was not part of this motion. Usually it's been 70% historically.
Is that your recommendation?
Yes,
I would move that then.
thank you.
Second.
Second? Second, anyone?
Second.
Bjork seconds it. Okay.
No, I have a question.
Oh, question.
Jim seconded.
Yes, Jim seconded. Question now.
Okay, you got, Seattle County, support at 70%. Tripp has always said a lot of that is mandatory. Is that mandatory at 70%? So I mean,
Yes.
where are we at?
Well, we could fund it up more if we wanted to. I guess we're saying 70%.
Okay, so 70%, but that's the mandatory amount.
Yes. I have a,
Mandatory
thank you, Bjork. I have a Supervisor Tripp. I'm gonna go and recognize him for a comment.
Thank you. Statutorily, the state says that adjacent counties must finance or must pay for the actual circulation of their residents in other county libraries at a minimum of 70% of the actual circulation cost. So as an example, the budgets you got from the libraries today, except for Sand Creek, gave you their actual circulation costs, and those you just voted to fund at 100%. The circulation costs are determined by the libraries. They're reported to the DPI. Those numbers are all public record. And again, the county and adjacent counties are responsible for at a minimum of 70% of the actual cost of circulation that their county residents get from neighboring counties. So long-winded answer, yeah, it's a legal minimum.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. That answer your question, Supervisor Bjork?
Yeah, it sure does. I guess it would be kind of interesting to know, what the exchange of funds is between Dunn County and Eau Claire County or Chippewa County. And, we're funding it 100% to supposedly, decrease that participation that we have in their libraries. I mean, is our 100% funding bring more dollars to Dunn County from Eau Claire or Chippewa County?
Anybody answer that question? Yes, Supervisor Tripp, come on up.
The level of funding really doesn't have anything to do with where patrons decide to use the library. That decision is made based on the services that they can expect, the hours that the libraries are open, geographic location. For instance, when Elk Mound opened the branch of the Menominee Library, there's a whole bunch of people on the border of Chippewa and Eau Claire counties that live in Dunn County that now began to use Dunn County libraries. Rather than go to a library in Chippewa or Eau Claire. So again, the short answer to your question is the level of funding really doesn't have anything to do with where people go to use a library. Okay?
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your expertise on this, Jim.
I'm making a
Yes, Ann.
So do we know what amount that is, or is it just?
Oh, for out of county? Yes, you don't have it in yours. I think I wrote it down. It's $119,061 is what I wrote down.
Is
Isn't
100%
that correct?
or 70? No, that's at 70.
70, that's 70%.
119.61.
119,61.
Yep, that's what I got.
Yeah.
from my county this morning too.
I thought, yeah, that's the one. Totaling then, art 100% and 70% would be $801,786.12. Now you have only Dunn County. I picked this up from the other for out of county. Any more questions? Well, we had a good discussion on this. Vaughn Headland, yes.
Okay. I don't know if Larry was concerned. One of the things that is not part of this report is, for instance, Boyso receives funding from people in St. Croix County on the border, who come to Boyso Library.
Correct.
Because we certainly have a better library than, unfortunately, than Glenwood City has. So, and, good directors and good hours, lots of programming for kids. So we attract a lot of people who come and use the Boyso Library, who live in Downing or just, just across the border. But we even get people from Hammond and so on. And then they reimburse us,
Correct.
For the services that Boyso provides to the people of St. Croix County.
Excellent point. Thank you. Thank you, Vaughn. Yes, yes, we get,
St. Croix County has been reimbursing us at 100% for a few years, maybe 3 years. I lose
Oh.
track of time, but it's the only outside county that does.
good
But
for them. Oh, wow. St. Croix County, 100%. I think you did report that to us at our meeting. Good discussion. Anybody else? Ready to, did we vote on the 70%? We haven't yet, right? Are you ready to vote on supporting it out of county at 70%? We have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Well, thank you. It is 6:30. We had a long meeting, but it was a productive one. I will simply say to you again now that our next meeting is August 9th. And at that time, we'll go back to kind of our regular meeting, but we'll bring Dunn County Economic Development. We don't need a report, just a request. We've heard it twice. So I will just say, give us the dollar amount and maybe you wouldn't even have to show up, but I'll get you the material. To all of your librarians, thank you for all the good work you do. And we appreciate your time and coming here tonight. And to all of the rest of you who support our county libraries. Kimberly, thank you very much for your input. Dan, as always, and Michelle, again, I'd like to thank you. No other business before the meeting is adjourned.
Anticipate that?
You know, Jim, I think